Most Wanted now has closure after police finally found the man who killed his son. 6-year-old Adam Walsh was murdered and decapitated in 1981. He's the son of John Walsh, the host of America's Most Wanted.
For 27 years, we've been asking, who could take a 6-year-old boy and murder him and decapitate him? Who? We needed to know. We needed to know. And today we know.
Welcome to Crimewatch Central USA, where we never stop digging. Every week, real cold cases, real justice. New here, hit like and subscribe. Let's uncover the truth. The following program contains content that some viewers may find disturbing. Viewer discretion is strongly advised.
It is noon on a Tuesday in July. Inside a Sears department store in Hollywood, Florida, the lights are too bright, the air is too still, and the sound of children playing video games fills the toy section like any other summer afternoon. A 6-year-old boy stands at the center of it. He is waiting his turn. He doesn't know it yet, but this moment is already ending. Across the store, his mother is only a few aisles away, and in less than 15 minutes, he will be gone. Not missing in a way that makes sense, not lost in a way that can be corrected. Gone in a way that would take America decades to fully understand. And this is the case of Adam Walsh.
On July 27, 1981, a child disappeared from one of the busiest shopping centers in Florida. There was security, there were employees, there were witnesses, there was even a police station directly across the street. And yet, a 6-year-old boy walked out of visibility and never returned. What followed would become one of the most controversial, painful, and influential missing child cases in American history, because this wasn't just a disappearance. It became a system failure. And every failure would stack on top of the last until there was nothing left but questions. Adam Walsh was born in 1974. He was 6 years old. Small for his age, quiet by nature, and deeply attached to routine. He wasn't the kind of child who wandered far. He didn't like unfamiliar places. He didn't speak easily to strangers. Those who knew him described him as careful, observant, a child who stayed close to what felt safe. He loved simple things: television cartoons, baseball, drawing, and most of all, his parents. His father, John Walsh, was working in hotel development in Miami. His mother, Revé Walsh, was studying and building her own identity while raising her only child. Their life, on the surface, looked stable, ordinary, predictable. That illusion would collapse in a single afternoon. On July 27th, Adam went with his mother to the Hollywood Mall. The plan was simple: 2 errands, a store visit, and then home. They entered Sears through the north entrance. The toy department was crowded. Children gathered around a new Atari console. Adam stopped there. He didn't ask to stay. He didn't argue. He simply became absorbed. Revé made a decision millions of parents would recognize instantly. She told him she would be nearby. She would return shortly. The distance between them was small. The visibility was high. Security was present. Nothing about the environment suggested danger. She walked away, and Adam stayed. When she returned, the toy section was empty. Not just missing Adam, missing all the children who had been there. The Atari console sat unused, controllers resting where hands had been moments earlier. She called his name. No answer. She searched aisle by aisle. Still nothing. At first, it felt like confusion, then concern, then urgency. By the time she reached customer service, the store had already begun broadcasting announcements. Adam Walsh, please come to the front of the store. No response. The second announcement followed, then the third, each one heavier than the last. Something was wrong, but no one yet understood how wrong it was. What investigators would later struggle with was not just what happened after Adam disappeared. It was what happened immediately after. A short time before Adam was last seen, a group of children argued in the toy department. A store security guard intervened. The children were split up. Some were escorted out one exit. Others were directed toward another. One of them was Adam. He was 6 years old. He followed instructions. He left through a door that did not lead back to his mother, and within minutes, he was outside the store, alone, in a parking lot. By the time police were called, nearly 2 hours had passed. The station was across the street. Response was not immediate. There was confusion about whether the child had wandered off, whether this was even a crime. In those early hours, assumptions shaped decisions, and those decisions shaped everything that came after. Search efforts began, but the first critical window was already gone. 4 days later, a man hiking with his sons made a discovery in a wooded area miles from the mall. Beneath branches and dirt, weighted by stones, was a body. It was Adam. The condition of the scene made one thing clear immediately. This was not random. This was deliberate. And whoever did this had taken steps to ensure the child would not be found quickly. The investigation shifted from missing child to homicide, but answers did not follow. Police interviewed hundreds of people, family members, employees, witnesses. Leads were collected and discarded. But forensic science in 1981 was limited. There was no DNA matching system, no national missing child database as we know it today. Evidence was preserved but not fully understood. And slowly, the case began to stall. Not because it lacked importance, but because it lacked tools. While investigators worked, Adam's parents faced something else entirely. Uncertainty, then grief, then public attention, then scrutiny. They appeared on national television, they made appeals, they searched endlessly. And through it all, one question remained unanswered. Who took their child? Investigators initially focused on people close to the family. This is standard procedure in child homicide cases. One individual became a point of attention due to proximity and personal connection to the household. He was questioned, he was tested, he was cleared. But the investigation had already begun to drift into complexity instead of clarity. Time was working against them. What made the case so difficult was not just the crime itself, it was the structure around it. There was no unified child alert system, no coordinated national response network, no rapid identification framework. If a child disappeared, information moved slowly, sometimes too slowly to matter. Adam Walsh's case would later become a driving force in changing that system. But at the time, those systems did not exist. As media attention grew, the case expanded beyond Florida. Searches intensified. Volunteers joined, billboards were printed, rewards increased. But leads became inconsistent. The investigation began to spread across multiple theories, each one leading somewhere, none of them leading to resolution. When Adam's body was found, confirmation came through multiple methods: dental comparison, witness identification, forensic analysis. There was no ambiguity about identity. But there was still no clarity about the person responsible. The case now had a victim. It had a crime scene, but it did not have a conclusion. The autopsy confirmed cause of death involving trauma and asphyxiation, but forensic interpretation in the early 1980s had limitations. Evidence existed, but interpretation frameworks were still developing. What investigators needed most, a direct link between suspect and crime, did not exist in a usable form. And over time, evidence degradation and procedural gaps would further complicate future analysis. As years passed, the investigation continued in fragments. New suspects emerged. Old suspects were revisited. Some were ruled out quickly. Others remained controversial. But no charges were filed. No trial occurred. And slowly, the case became a reference point for failure rather than resolution. While the case stalled, Adam's father changed direction. He began advocating for missing children reform. He worked with lawmakers. He pushed for national systems to track and identify missing children faster. What began as a personal tragedy became a national movement, and over time, legislation changed. New systems were built. Alerts were created. Databases were formed, all in response to the gaps this case exposed. Years later, organizations would estimate that hundreds of thousands of children were helped through systems inspired by this case. Law enforcement procedures were rewritten. Public awareness increased. And missing child response time improved dramatically. But none of that changed the origin. A single afternoon in a department store, a decision to step away for minutes, and a moment that never recovered. Adam Walsh was 6 years old. He did not disappear because of distance. He did not vanish because of complexity. He disappeared because a system failed to see risk in time. Everything that came after, every law, every reform, every awareness campaign began in that failure. Not in justice, in absence, and in the unanswered question that started it all. What happened to Adam Walsh? If this case stayed with you, subscribe to Crime 95 for more real investigative true crime documentaries. Because some cases are not just stories, they are turning points. And some names are never just history, they are warnings.